What happens to women who train at the White Tower, but they don't actually become Aes Sedai? They don't take the 3 oaths. I'll talk about this specific scenario in a minute, but as a general rule of thumb, there's a saying amongst Aes Sedai that you're not done with the White Tower until the White Tower is done with you. And that usually translates into just making sure that these girls have enough control of their power to not hurt anyone by accident. But occasionally it can become about protecting the reputation of the White Tower. Because let's be real, the 3 oaths are kind of a PR stunt. There's 1,000 loopholes in the wording, every sister knows how to get around them when they need to. The oaths mostly exist to reassure the public that Aes Sedai are not a threat. So if you leave your village to go to the White Tower to train, and then a year or 2 later you come back and decide to start a revolution against your local lord, even if he is the most oppressive tyrant on the planet, the White Tower will not stand for that. Because most people don't know how to tell the difference between an Aes Sedai and a novice. They'll see somebody throwing fireballs at the local castle and associate that with Aes Sedai. So yeah, you are free to go, but also free is kind of a strong word. Now, let's say you're the strongest channeler in generations. Let's say Nynaeve decides she wants to just go home to the 2 rivers. You're not done with the White Tower until the White Tower is done with you. If they really want you to stay because you're an asset to the tower like Nynaeve, they're just not going to take your name out of the novice book. They're going to label you a runaway. Now, this is kind of a spoiler for later in the books, but here we go. There is a huge network of former White Tower trainees who make it their business to send runaways back to the White Tower. They're called the Kin, and honestly, I don't even think Nynaeve would make it out of Tar Valon. They've got this woman, Barrowyn, who's an absolute beast at weaving shields. She's much weaker than Nynaeve, but that's not a problem for her. She can just hold a shield on anybody. It's a talent with a capital T. The funniest part about this group, though, is they're really scared of being caught by Aes Sedai. It's a very secretive group. They think that they might be doing something nefarious by organizing outside of the White Tower. Meanwhile, the Aes Sedai are just like, yes, excellent work. Keep sending us the runaways. But if you're not a fugitive from the White Tower, the Kin will take you in, help you find a place in the world. They have this rotation, since channelers practically don't age and they don't want to arouse suspicion. So they'll like move women from village to village, or like they'll take turns being the medicine women in bigger cities. They're a really cool addition to the lore. I can't wait to see them in the show.